Yes, a new day has begun indeed. Alright, before I get into this trailer, there is something you should know. See, when it comes to today's movie fan community, I tend to think most of us are big fans of, the big action superhero movies like Avengers, the big budget action thrill rides. And rightfully so, they are usually pretty cool. But when it comes to musicals, they usually fall by the wayside. They're just not as popular. But I, Andy Tolsky, am here to tell you that musicals are awesome. Why are they awesome, you ask? Well, think about it like this. Think about a movie you like that has a really compelling story. With great characters and plot twists, maybe some action scenes. Now imagine that every other scene or so, the characters start singing and their voices are pretty good, surprisingly, and the music is also really catchy. That, my friends, is basically what musicals are. They're compelling stories, just with some really good music in there too. In fact, in most cases, the music is used to tell the story. I don't know, in my eyes, there's just nothing bad about that. So now, finally, we have the first trailer for the film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's classic 1981 musical, Cats. And I've honestly been waiting on the edge of my seat for this trailer. It's kind of reminding me of Aquaman last year. It was a December release, and the first trailer didn't drop until Comic-Con. Yeah, kinda late. Now, here's the thing about Cats. Its whole look and aesthetic is admittedly pretty strange. I'm not just talking about this new movie, which I'll get to that, but the stage show itself. It's literally people running around and dancing in full, cat costume and makeup. This show is revered and highly praised, and I think it's a pretty cool show. I saw it not too long ago. But there is no denying that that costume design just looks weird. There's just no escaping it. And for those of you who don't know, this show is actually based off of an old book of poems by T.S. Eliot called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. That's why you see T.S. Eliot's name in this trailer. But getting back to it, I knew the costume design in the show was weird to begin with. So when I heard they were making this a movie, I was admittedly kind of scared of what these characters were going to look like. Were they gonna do the costumes and makeup, or were they gonna go a more digital route? They're using CG motion capture. And I am not gonna lie to you, I've been excited for this trailer for a while, but my knee-jerk reaction to seeing how these characters are gonna look for the first time was disgust. I was like, ugh! Oh my god, what is that? Yes, it does look strange, it looks very weird, very different. They are pretty much cat-human hybrids if ever there were any, and it threw me off guard, I'll admit it. But you know what, it's been a few days since then. I have gotten used to it by now. I'm not saying I think they look good, I'm saying I've gotten used to it. It's kind of like the live-action Pokemon in Detective Pikachu, where at first it's a bit jarring to see these creatures in a real-life scenario, but I did get used to it. The movie itself turned out to be not so great in my opinion, but my point is that the initial shock of seeing them in real life wore off. And the same thing happened here with this Cats trailer. I do still think they look very strange, but that's not enough to convince me that the movie's going to be bad. If the movie follows the story of the show, which it will, then it'll most likely be pretty good. Plus, it's being directed by Tom Hooper, who a few years back gave us that Les Miserables movie, which I thought was completely awesome. Definitely one of the best movies of 2012. So I have faith in the guy. He's taken on Cats, which is way more lighthearted than Les Mis, which sounds like it shouldn't be as much of a challenge. So yeah, I got faith in him. And also the story of Cats. For those of you who don't know what the story of Cats is, allow me to summarize. Basically, it takes place in London, and there's this tribe of cats that all hang out in the streets. They call themselves Jellicle Cats. That's just the name of their tribe. And the show basically gives each character their own song that describes themselves. What that cat's position is in society, what their personality is like, etc. There is an overall premise to the story, but you know what? The trailer didn't give away what it is, so I'm not going to here, out of respect. If you want to know, go look it up. But ultimately, it is a very heartwarming story, and I'm looking forward to seeing that on the big screen. This trailer wasn't really about the story as much as it was about, showing you what the movie's gonna look like. So alright, what do we got? The first character you see is Victoria, played by renowned ballet dancer Francesca Hayward. She actually doesn't have her own song in this show, but she does have her own dance number. And yeah, a big thing about Cats is that a lot of it is choreography based. It's a big dancing show, with some really, really impressive dancing if you've seen it live. It's awesome. The next character we see is Old Deuteronomy, played by Judi Dench here, which is a gender swap actually. Normally in the stage show, Old Deuteronomy, who is the leader of the Jellicle Cat tribe, is played by an older man. But in this movie, we got Judi Dench, to which I'm not complaining, I'm sure she'll be great, but I am cautiously curious about how she's going to perform the role. And basically we get to see all the characters here, which is pretty cool. We see Mr. Mistopheles, who is the magician cat. I'm not gonna spoil everything that happens in the show, just in case you haven't seen it yet, but his song is pretty cool. We see Macavity, played by Idris Elba, pretty good casting. I like that shot too, he's just looking down on the street and he's wearing this really cool hat. Macavity is a bad dude. He's pretty much the villain of the story. We see Bustaver Jones, played by James Corden, which I thought was great casting. I was surprised to learn that James Corden actually has a history with theater. I mean, he hosted the Tonys this year and he was hilarious, but he was also in that Into the Woods movie, which I never saw. Normally I don't think talk show hosts are all that funny, but James Corden, he's is an exception. So I'm looking forward to seeing him as Bustopher Jones, the high upper-class, portly, sophisticated cat. We see Bombalurina, played by Taylor Swift of all people, which was the source for a lot of buzz around this movie. And this character, let's just say that she's gonna turn a lot of guys who are not furries into furries, at least temporarily. Just trust me on that. And the fact that she's being played by Taylor Swift just proves my point even more. We also see Jenny Anydots, the old Gumby cat, played by Rebel Wilson, which again I thought was great casting, but her little moment in this trailer, I was like, well, okay. Could have picked a better moment to be in the trailer. I have a few favorite characters in Cats, and I'm glad I got to see them in this trailer too. We get a small glimpse of Mungo, Jerry, and Rumpleteazer. Their song is one of my favorites. And there are actually a couple versions of the song that have been made throughout time, but from the looks of this, it looks like they're doing the one that I like. Should be a lot of fun. We also see Skimbleshanks for a couple seconds. His song is definitely one of my favorites. In fact, that whole musical number is probably one of the scenes I'm looking forward to seeing the most in this movie. I'm really curious about how they're gonna do it. And of course, we have Jason Derulo as the Rum Tum Tugger. Who is that? Well, to put it simply, he is the Playboy cat. Yep, the one who messes around. His song is also definitely one of my favorites. And the fact that they got Jason Derulo to play him, well, that's cool. I'm not really familiar with much of his music, but I don't even care because I just want to see him do this. Cause that is hilarious. And finally, we see Jennifer Hudson as Grizabella, the glamour cat. This is a really important character, and Jennifer Hudson is awesome. We all know this. If you don't know it, then why haven't you watched Dreamgirls yet? It's so good. Watch it. J-Hud is really good casting for Grizabella, as you can plainly hear. Phew. Belt those notes, Grizzy. I'm really glad that we actually got to hear a bit of the music from the show in this trailer. I mean, I should have seen it coming, but it was just a pleasant surprise. It is great music. Cats has a great soundtrack. I mean, yeah, they are essentially a bit show-tuney, which, if you ask me, should not be seen as a negative. But then there are also some rock and roll songs in there that have you going, yeah, all right, this is a good groove. I mean, it was the 80s, you know? There had to be rock in there somewhere. So yeah, it's good stuff. Check it out. All in all, I am still looking forward to this Cats movie. Yes, it does look strange, especially with the sets that are like up to scale. So we see these little cat people running around these giant bedrooms. But you know what? The show looks weird too. That does not mean it is bad. It's actually really good. Just don't judge a book by its cover. That's all I'm saying. This is just the beginning of a glorious next couple of years. Not just for Marvel, which I will definitely touch on in a video, because that's video material, but for movies based off of musicals. Because after Cats, next summer we have In the Heights, which was Lin-Manuel Miranda's first show before he did Hamilton. And then in December of that year, we have a remake of West Side Story, which the original movie is a classic. I'm a huge West Side Story fan. So I am curious and also cautious about what Steven Spielberg is going to do with this remake. And of course, it all culminates in December of 2021 with the film adaptation of my favorite stage musical of all time, Wicked. I made a fan casting video for it a few months back, basically saying who I would want to play the characters. I'll put it in the end screen if you want to check it out. So yeah, the next couple of years are gonna have some pretty entertaining movies, and it's just a great time to be alive. So, the official trailer for the film adaptation of Cats. What do you think about it? Are you willing to give it a chance, or are you one of those people that's just like, pfft, no, it looks stupid? I am really curious to know your opinion, so whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.